Good morning and welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 12th of February. So, as ever, starting with the euro dollar, and well, we've seen a little bit of we saw a couple of reversal candles coming in last week, which sort of didn't come to too much. Although this morning we've seen, through the Asian session, we've seen a sort of a push up of the euro so far towards its new weekly pivot. It's depending how this line's drawn, actually, I've got it on an hourly, and it's sort of price is just running up to it as opposed to just through it a little bit. But however, whichever way, it's maybe a little overlap. But we've got the weekly pivot still above, which may be a bit of a draw. We'll just come back here. We have got an untouched daily pivot below. We've got support coming through on that. We broke through the Asian session there. We just broke that initial trend line there. But as I say, it's between a rock and a hard place at the moment, whether the price moves back down towards the daily pivot or can get a move up just after 8 o'clock towards the weekly pivot there. Maybe it still may offer opportunities to sell into that sort of level with the trend down. However, there is some 4-hourly divergence sitting into the lows here. I didn't know if you look at the RSI, MACD, or whatever else, and it's just air kissed that 4-hourly 200. So maybe we've got a bit more to work off yet of that divergence, although the RSI has pushed up since. We'll see how it runs here, but as I say, may give opportunities to sell into the weekly pivot if it gets there. The moving average is still all facing south, and most things are still pointing to a slightly weaker currency, but or pair on the euro. So that's, as I say, that's if it can do there. As you can see from this hourly point of view, we're just back into that trend line, and it's selling quite sharpish this morning. Maybe back to that daily pivot. Pound, just come out and focus on the dailies first here. Again, bit of a bounce this morning so far. Not much of a reversal bar last week and Friday. We have got the weekly pivot above again, so there is a draw to that upside potentially, and it would be a reasonable target if there was a long setup. But there is a risk with the pound this week. There's more and more talk about Brexit again. It's picked up in the news, and we could see some high volatility, and not necessarily with trend or without trend. So at the moment the trend is running down. Maybe it'll be easier to run to the downside. Again, with this move that we're seeing at the moment, I think it'd be easier to short into that weekly pivot, but it'd be just a case of watching it when it gets there, or if it gets there. At the moment it's below its daily. It looks like it's breaking a trend here. Well, it certainly is breaking a trend by the looks of things across these lows. So maybe we'll see just a continuous sell-off this morning on that. So maybe it's something to watch there. Opportunities to just sell into little retracements. Dollar yen. Japanese bank holiday, so it's all very quiet through the Asian session so far. It's been a difficult one to pick because of the flows of money running into the yen for safety. Last week we saw it sort of moving down, positively correlated with the euro, etc. So long as there's so much doubt about the US market, I think there's the risk that this will continue pushing south and the money will come in, the risk being off, and maybe we'll see a second break of this trend line I drew on here last week, and potentially a continued sell-off. But as I say, bank holiday, bit slow at the moment. Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar had a sharp old sell-off running through into last week, continuation, and quite a reversal bar. I think it managed to be quite a key reversal bar, but a solid old reversal bar on Friday. We have since almost pushed and nipped at the weekly pivot there, and again, with that in play, maybe we could have a bit of downside potential. Again, there's support as we're moving into these 21 moving averages. So it looks a bit like the euro in that respect. Big trend is down, although it's broken some of those points on that downward trend. I was just looking to see where I drew that trend line on late last night. Now can't really work out what that was, where that was supposed to be sitting. Anyway, it's certainly broken that trend line to the upside potentially. So it's really a case of seeing how it reacts off these 21s, just as the euro has got to test there its 21s. See how it reacts off these. If it starts breaking through, we may see a bit more correction to the downside, but seems relatively solid at the moment. Aussie dollar, and then finally the Canadian dollar. So Canadian dollar, well, there's quite a bearish bar for the Canadian dollar on Friday, shooting star running through back towards that 50 EMA, but it's been a bit of an odd one through the week. Let's just put it back down to the 4 hourlies there, just currently sitting there this week onto the weekly pivot. So if we was to see any strength coming, weakness, sorry, coming through in the on the euro, etc., maybe we'll see a correlation here, and it could be pushing up to the daily pivot. However, it's become not necessarily unreliable till the daily pivot, but just the reliability of how it gets there, and it can lead us into a chopping situation for quite long periods through the mornings. We've seen it time and time again, and can lead traders astray a little bit. So maybe one worth sitting, passing, unless it starts really breaking up hard and gives us retracement opportunities. But well, favourite for the downside is most likely the pound. So there we go. That's for me. Have a great one. Bye for now.